My first ever video on this channel related to magic involves Criss Angel, okay? And it's basically just, I don't know how long, 10 minutes of me shitting on him, looking at the footage of, one of his TV specials, and just talking shit and being like, that's fake, this is that, that's that, ha ha ha.
The other types of walls. But a metal gate? A metal gate?
People enjoyed that video, alright? People enjoyed that video, and Criss Angel still comes up, and oftentimes it's a joke, It's funny because in the magic community, with Criss Angel, Dynamo, Criss Angel, and David Blaine, these three dudes, if you go up to a younger magician and you go, hey man, what's your favorite magician? And they name one of these three dudes, people kind of like go, oh, Criss Angel is probably the worst one on that list in that sense. Dynamo probably second. David Blaine is a little more respected. He seems to care a lot about the art, and people will kind of recognize that. But this is kind of a thing that happens all the time. You'll talk to a young magician, maybe he's 9-10 years old. Oh, my favorite magician is Dynamo, and everyone goes, oh, okay, here we go. And you just know that he's not going to want to read old literature, and he's not going to, I don't want to do that shit at that age, let's be real. But I think that there's some merit to that. There's some credit to, there's something about being said about, listen, there's dudes out there that are like really good that no one knows, or, let me show you some really good talent. But there is something to be said about the reasoning behind why everyone knows about Criss Angel, Dynamo, David Blaine, right? There's something to be said about that ability to capture a moment in time in the mainstream ecosystem of the world. Listen, no one's gonna remember me for doing my Cardini change, right? If you in 300 years, not a single non-magician will be like, the Eduard Todor made some good shit back in the day, man. He had the crazy pass with the thing with the, when you do the thing with the finger in the. Listen, no one's gonna do that, right? No one's gonna remember any of this. This is all magician stuff. This is all, when you're in the game, you can appreciate certain things. But for someone that isn't crazy about magic, doesn't care about it, to appreciate magic on that level, I think is a very impressive skill. And I think that's why people will remember David Copperfield, right? He's like he's the richest performer alive, but also he's one of the most well-known, but he hasn't really been on TV or social or anything for the last how long, right? But he captured a moment in time at a specific, like the whole, okay, I'm going to make the Statue of Liberty disappear. And everyone's like, hell no. And then he does it. Okay, it's stupid looking back, there's everyone's revealed it in every single possible way. If you're even remotely interested in how it's done, you've already found out, right? But the fact that everyone knows about that. I knew about that before I even knew about who he was. I just knew that there was some dude called David something that made the Statue of Liberty disappear, okay? So there's something to be said about that crazy high level, like mainstream attraction craziness, that skill set of performance at the highest level, okay? Now, let's get into the question of the video, which is, how good is this Criss Angel dude anyway, right? Okay, yeah, he's good at generating hype. Okay, yes, he's good at faking shit. Okay, yes, he's able to grab mainstream media attention, but how good is he actually in terms of doing magic? Okay, it's hard to really. There's a lot of stuff that is clearly actors set up, blah blah blah. We know this, right? No one's debating this. It's Criss Angel. We know this. Let's be real. We know this. Okay, if you're at this point, if you don't know this, I don't know what to tell you. But listen, I did some research for this, so you don't have to. Okay, and this is what I found. So Criss Angel had more primetime TV slots than any other magician in history. Okay, so that for one tells you why he was so mainstream. He was so appealing to the masses that producers were making so much money, and Hollywood was making so much money off it, that they gave him more primetime TV than any other magician in history. That's pretty crazy. He won. Okay, so this is that before thing doesn't really mean much. Magician of the Decade 2009, by IMS, the International Magic Society, the biggest magic society in the world. I actually hold the World Guinness record for that, right? So, Magician of the Decade 2009. In 2010, he wins Magician of the Century. Magician of the Century? Wait a minute. How the hell is a dude that fakes all this shit, does all the stuff, makes hella money, basically just an actor, crazy Hollywood dude, how the hell is he coined Magician of the Century, right? So then you look at his kind of like just early things, and so, by the way, IMS is legit, okay? International Magic Society is legit. If they're giving someone like Criss Angel that award, it's not like, that's not a favor. That's genuinely, his shows, his live shows have won awards. I mean, his live performance, if you go to his show, it's a world-class magic show, okay? So in that sense, the dude is legit as it gets. It's just that he used questionable ways to get there, and he used questionable things to boost his career, right? But that doesn't make him a shitman. In fact, he's probably one of the best guys. Like, if I had a conversation with him, I wouldn't be like clowning him or anything. I'd be trying to learn. This dude really knows his shit. So he had his first paid show at the age of 12. He got paid $10, right? At 14, he was performing in restaurants and high schools. At 18, he hit the road with other performance artists, okay? So that tells you something. Most magicians, right, me included, I started magic at 12, the age of 12. This is what my whole magic career since the age of 12 to the age of 18 was. Just a whole lot of like screwing around, messing around, having fun with the cards, okay? To me, this pack of cards, I'm ADHD, so for me, this is like the best fidget thing possible, right? So I just got good at the sleight of hand stuff. I didn't even consider that there's something to be said about the performance aspect. What the hell? How hard can it be? I mean, you know what I mean? Like, you rock up, you do the thing that you've been practicing, and that's it. But it turns out that Criss Angel realized early on that the performance was the thing. It's not about the trick. It's not about the method. It's not about the hours of just messing around fiddling with cards. It's about performing. First show at 12, straight away. 14, performing restaurants, performing this, performing that. 18, doesn't go to college. He goes traveling performance, like around, touring basically with like other performance artists. Performance. That's why he doesn't really give a shit about the magic, and he'll use actors and stuff like that. It's not about that. It's about the performance. It's about the image he creates, right? One of the most interesting things I read about him is he was quoted saying, "I stayed away from magicians when I was younger because I didn't want to think like them and wanted to create my own style." That is something you will never hear from any other magician. It's insane to think like that. But I can totally understand why. And I'll probably talk about it in a different segment. But listen, magicians are notoriously bad at performing compared to any other performance artist. I'm going to go into detail in a different video. But listen, all we do is play with cards and then expect to be good performers. This is what you got to be doing. You got to be out there putting in the work. If you look at a stand-up comic, they're out there doing open mics like, 4 or 5 times a week, sometimes 6 times a week. As many spots as they can get until they get those, get to the level, the skill of being able to do arenas and being able to do all these crazy, next level stuff. They understand that the performance is what is required to be practiced, right? The jokes, the writing is all good. You have to do it. But performing those jokes and performing that right, like what you wrote, is what's important, right? Magic, same thing, right? The sleight of hand is super important. And Criss Angel, I've seen him do some cool stuff with cards and stuff like that. So, don't get me wrong, he's actually not bad. But he knows that the performance is what actually is important in magic. So I think it's kind of like people clown on him. People like to clown on people liking him, especially with young magicians. Like, you don't know what you're talking about. But in reality, if you really look at what people care about when they're trying to experience magic, they care about the performance. The trick itself is a puzzle. It doesn't really add anything to their life. It's the experience of the thing that really, you know, like they feel the card vanishing. You know, they feel the card changing in their hands because you performed it to the point where if it's just card changes, there you go, good night, handshake, that ain't going to get you anywhere. So that's what I really think about Criss Angel all these years later. You know, I had a very narrow view of Magic back then, and it's funny because through this journey of reviewing a lot of Magic acts, I started understanding more and more about the Magic. So I started explaining certain things that I already understood, but as I was doing it, I was learning things myself, you know? So, yeah, tune in for next time. That's been Criss Angel. How good is he really?